So Jaden Daniels will become the 7th rookie quarterback to play in a conference championship game. The previous 6 all lost their conference championship game. There has never been a rookie quarterback make it to the Super Bowl. Of course, just because that hasn't happened doesn't mean that it can't happen. One day we assume it will happen, but I still thought it could make for an interesting video to go back and look at what happened the last 6 times a rookie quarterback made the conference championship game. So no sweeping statements of if it didn't work, then it can't work. Just kind of a fun exercise, I thought. So yeah, let's just get into it. The first one we're going to talk about, we're going to go chronologically. You have to go back to Dieter Brock back in 1985, who was 34 years old as a rookie quarterback. He played in, I believe it was the Canadian Football League prior to this, then ultimately came in, made the NFL at 34, was able to become the starting job due to an injury. Actually played okay in the regular season. Eric Dickerson was the highlight of this Rams team. But you see the two numbers are right under where it says was 34 as a rookie. Those are his stats for the conference championship game. 10 for 31, 66 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, a passer rating of 28, which is actually better than his performance in the divisional round. So he lost 24-0 to the Bears. I also figured I would look at the stats for the playoffs prior to the conference championship game. You see below, against the Cowboys, he was 6 for 22, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 20.6, but they won that game. I also wanted to go back and watch each of these games, so I did. I'll say this, Brock Dieter did make some passes in this game. I mean, again, it's such a different era, but there was a lot of really contested passes. He was able to make some of them. This was not a completely awful performance wire to wire. Unfortunately, the Bears defense was just, so good. It's the 85 Bears. That's what teams are still getting compared to. Ultimately, he made the one bad interception, and that was kind of the dagger for our guy, Brock Dieter, but still a impressive job for someone who makes their first NFL season at age 34. But yeah, not taking away too much from that one. That was really the only one from kind of an older, from that era, I would say. For the most part, you had to at least have played a year, honestly, usually to even become a starter, let alone get to a conference championship game. Next up was Shaun King in 1999. He was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback who entered Week 12 due to injury. So he was not their starter the whole season. He came in, and again, the numbers are not great in that conference championship game. 13 for 29, 163 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions for a passer rating of 34.1. They lost 6-11 to the Rams. Before that, he was better, 15 for 32. That was actually just in one game, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Still not a great performance. Keep in mind, 99 numbers are different than 2025 numbers, but still, those aren't great numbers even for its era. I went back and watched this game as well. The biggest takeaway I had was just how fun it is to watch that era Buccaneers defense go up against the greatest show on turf. Usually I didn't even watch much of the other side of the ball, but I couldn't help myself here. It was just so fun to watch these two teams go at it. But the biggest play of this game was this controversial call was ruled incomplete because it touched the ground. That actually changed the rule, but because of that, the Buccaneers ended up falling short. They were not able to convert on the next play, or it's 2 plays later, they would have had a first down if that Burt Emanuel call was ruled a catch. It's now known as the Burt Emanuel rule, where if it used to be if the ball touches the ground, no matter what, it's incomplete. Now it can touch the ground as long as you maintain control, which is what he did on that play. Would have given them, with about 40 seconds left, I think 45 seconds left, they would have had a chance at the 20-yard line, a first down and 10. That being said, though, Shaun King was very much a passenger of that Buccaneers team. They ran the ball a lot, and although they threw it a bit, he did have ultimately 29 attempts in that one, but definitely it was the defense that kept them in it. Honestly, a really impressive defensive performance. Despite multiple turnovers by Shaun King, they still only gave up 11 points to the greatest show on turf, but wasn't quite enough in that one. So yeah, that's how Shaun King played. Now we can fast forward a bit to some younger viewers will know most of these players at this point. Ben Roethlisberger in 2004 went 14 for 24 for 226 yards, so a good amount of yards per attempt there, and a pair of touchdowns, but the 3 interceptions was the issue, as that makes a passer rating under 60. They lost 27-41 to the Patriots. It was the first time they lost to the Patriots in the playoffs. It would not be the last. Roethlisberger, even before that, wasn't great statistically either. That's, again, just in one game. Weirdly, the first 3, the quarterbacks only had 1 game prior to the conference championship. The last 3, they all would have 2 games before the conference championship. We'll get more into that later. But yeah, I mean, Roethlisberger, much like the two guys before him, was a passenger of that team. As a rookie, they ran the ball and they played defense. That was their philosophy. But you'll see, I mean, in this game, he did have some of those highlights, of those classic Ben Roethlisberger plays like that one, but he just made too many mistakes. I mean, even from the jump, that one was a little bit tough, kind of off the receiver's hands. But the other 2, this was a pick 6 in the red zone. That was a tough blow. And then this one, down 14 with 7.5 minutes left, that was kind of a dagger. So Roethlisberger had chances. He was able to make some plays, and you can kind of see the guy he would ultimately become in this game, but just turned the ball over too much. Can't do that. And also, you're playing Tom Brady on the other side, who, again, the Patriots put up 41. The pick 6 didn't help, but still, too many turnovers there. Not the worst performance. Not as bad as some of the other performances that we've talked about. But then we'll get into a couple of, I think, really fun performances. The next one we're going to talk about is still sticking with the Steelers, but this time a quarterback who played against the Steelers, Joe Flacco, in 2008. This is actually a pretty kind of, I don't want to say a great comparison to Jaden Daniels, but you can definitely make the comparison, because Joe Flacco in this, team, they were the 6th seed, but they won both of their playoff games, including beating the 1 seed. So that's similar to the Commanders, who were also the 6th seed, also beat the 1 seed. You look at Flacco's numbers in this conference championship game, though, against the Steelers: 13 for 30, 141 yards, no touchdowns, 3 interceptions for a passer rating of 18. That seems horrible. You look at the final score, 14-23, though, maybe not a disaster game-wise. Prior to this, Flacco was okay. Not great, but a passer rating of 73.9. Again, in 2008, that's not horrible for a playoff performance. Still a bit on the lower side. But again, I think a little bit more interestingly with this team, they weren't fully built on defense, but they definitely still were a defensive team. Going back and watching this game, I just had so much fun. I just missed this era of football, to be honest. You see how much battling there was down the field. The defenses were able to, make contact with these receivers, and you see how it felt like every play was inches away from disaster. Flacco was constantly under pressure, constantly having to try to fit the ball through tight windows. The Steelers defense was so good. Flacco did have a really good drive in the 4th quarter here. That was on a 3rd down and 3. This one on a 2nd and 7. He's going to help get a pass interference penalty. They were ultimately able to make this a 1-score game and get the ball back in the 4th quarter. But then here, with 4.5 minutes to go, on a 3rd and 13, had to take a chance. Throws a pick to Troy Polamalu. I mean, that's what he does, right? That's Troy Polamalu, and why he's one of the best to ever do it. But also, that defense was just so good in that game. I actually even think Flacco was horrible in that game. Obviously, the interceptions are not what you want, but he kind of was in a situation where if he was never going to throw to a player who was, going to have to make a contested catch, he would just never throw the football. That was kind of the situation they were in. So, again, for a rookie playing in a game of that caliber with so much issues going around him, not the worst performance in the world, although definitely, he would have better performances in the playoffs in the future. Next up is just the next year, Mark Sanchez with the Jets would make the conference championship, and you would see his numbers are by far the best out of any of these quarterbacks we're talking about. A passer rating over 90, so for 2009, that's definitely really good for a conference championship game. Did have an interception in there, and they did lose by 13 points. Before that, he wasn't spectacular, but I'm going to be honest, I think this might have been a career game for Mark Sanchez. Because you watch some of these plays, and he had to make some tough throws. Look at that one. Under pressure, fitting that one through a mailbox. That was a great play. You see this one, again, under pressure, but makes a perfectly accurate throw to get a long touchdown. Also, this one early on. Remember, they actually had a 17-6 lead in this one. Although now you see this is kind of what happened of that last play where it was contested pass, weren't able to make enough happened there. They had a real chance to win that game. They went up 17-6, but then Peyton Manning took over. He was amazing in the second half, and there's just too many contested plays. As I said, Sanchez made some really tough throws early on. He just couldn't do it all game. I thought he played pretty well in this game. This is the one you look at if you're a Commanders fan and say, hey, rookie quarterbacks can play well in the big moments, if you want to. And again, I don't know if you have similar feelings to how I have watching these plays, but like, this era was the best, right? I'm sure everyone just thinks that the era of football when they were 14 and 15 watching was the best era of football, but I was 14 and 15 watching these games, and it definitely was fun to watch. I miss when there was just a little bit of defense. I don't want a lot of defense. I want some defense. Let them be able to, the biggest rules changes have just been the pass interference being so much more easy to call, meaning that guys, hold less and make contact less, making it, guys getting more open down the field. It's fun to see all these contested catches left and right, for me at least. Finally, the sixth one, which is, I don't have any film for this because Purdy barely played in this game. Only 4 passes before getting injured. And you could argue this was still one of the better performances. He went 4 for 4, I suppose. Didn't even really put the numbers prior to this either because, they did not. They lost to the Eagles, got crushed because not only did they not have Purdy, but the guy who was the backup in that game, Josh Johnson, got injured. So that was that. So what does this all mean? I mean, for Jaden Daniels, absolutely nothing, right? Because there is no even real similar comparison. You look at like Mark Sanchez, Joe Flacco, Ben Roethlisberger, Shaun King. Those were all, rookie quarterbacks that just were, hey, let's put you in a good situation. You can hand the ball off, throw it here and there, but you're going to be just a part of this team. Jaden Daniels is completely different. Jaden Daniels, they treat him like he's a superstar level quarterback already. They completely trust, him in a big spot. It's just different than the other guys. Which I guess maybe you could say, hey, this is maybe good news for Commanders fans if they're looking at it a little bit scared of like, oh man, teams tend to not win once they get to this spot if they have a rookie quarterback. But there isn't a comparison that's even close to what the Commanders have. So I don't know. It was a fun video for me to make. I enjoy this kind of stuff. Let me know if you like this stuff in the comments below. Maybe I'll make something similar at some point. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.